Hi, I'm Dr. Jarika Dodd, Executive Editor of PharmaSis Magazine. Have you seen this magazine? Oh my gosh. Not because it's just any magazine, but because there are amazing women in pharmacy in this magazine. And I have the pleasure of speaking with one of them today. And you know what? I tell you what, I'll just say this in general about women in pharmacy. We're resilient because Dr. Swathi Varanasi and I thought we had more time than we did, but we literally, like 2 seconds ago, found out that it was time to go live. So here we are. So I want to take a moment to introduce a special lady who appeared in Fall 2021 anniversary issue of PharmaSis Magazine. So last fall, 2021. Welcome, Dr. Swathi Varanasi. How are you?
I am so wonderful this morning. How are you doing?
I am well. And I appreciate the opportunity that we get to chat and that people will be able to watch this on 3 platforms: Facebook, PharmaSis page, LinkedIn PharmaSis page, as well as my YouTube channel, Dr. Jarika Dodd. So, like Dr. Swathi, you are all over the place. And not only will people be able to tune in live while we're talking right now, but they'll be able to see it on replay forever. Nonetheless, so I'm excited. So I want to show you because you see how close it was. I just put my hand right on it, and you're like, "What? I sit that close?" Yes, because I have learned so much from the women that I've interviewed in this magazine, you included. So I have to show your beautiful picture. I don't even know, like, can you tell us where, oh, I'm pointing to the wrong page. Can you tell us where is this? The background? Like, I don't mean, it looks like you're like at the top of the Grand Canyon and it's all behind you and the sun is about to set. It might have been a studio, but it's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. So it was actually at Venice Beach in LA, and it was at sunset.
See, I knew it was someplace magnificent. So tell me, because it's been a year now since you've been in the magazine. I have watched you since. Were you a resident at that time? You weren't doing what you're doing now. Like, I've watched your progression and your transition, and you just walking into all the things that were waiting for you at the end of your training. So talk about where you were when we first met.
Oh man. So when we first met, I was a resident, or I might have actually even been a student at that point.
Right.
Because at that point I was really figuring out my place in pharmacy. And it was when I had that rotation, that API rotation with Dr. Pam Tarlow,
Yes.
still one of my absolute favorite people. When I had a rotation with her, that I really found that pharmacists could play such an amazing role in the integrative health space. And that's when I realized, okay, if Dr. Tarlow can do this and she can teach me her ways, then maybe I can also play a role here. So I think that's when I first reached out to you. And when I first noticed, again, I was so inspired by different women entrepreneurs, and then particularly learning about women entrepreneurs who are also pharmacists was the next level of inspiration. And so when I found you, I was like, wow, we need to connect. I want to hear more about her story, and also how she went from being a conventional pharmacist, just like most of us, to what she's doing now and how she's making an impact.
Well, and you know, it's my goal with the magazine that when women read these pages, they connect and identify with someone in this magazine, because we all have different journeys. We've all elected to go beyond what we know. We've all elected to get outside of our comfort zones and go, you know what? I think there's something else. I think there may be more. I think there's a different way. I want to know if there's more.
Yes.
And so I remember, yes, you were right. You were a resident when I met you with Dr. Tarlow. So if Dr. Tarlow sees this, or if you see her, can you put a bug in her ear and she'll know what this means? Tell her I'm still waiting on her. So, but it's been great to watch your journey to, at such an early point in your career, be able to go, I got to figure out where I fit in all of this. And I remember reading your story as we were going to press, reading your story and thinking, you probably represent more people than you realize who go, yeah, I've learned all this great stuff, but I think I want to do something else, and I'm not quite sure what that is, and I'm not really quite sure if there's a blueprint or a template, because pharmacists, we look for tools, tips, tactics, strategies, algorithms, formulas, secrets, and hints to try to do the thing. So it truly pushes us out of our comfort zone when we do something that there's no blueprint for, like said thing. There's no blueprint, but there's something in your heart that goes, yeah, but I think I was made to do that. Talk about what that feels like when the people around you are like, you're going to do what? What is that?
Yeah, that's been the ongoing story for me, definitely, is that, it's always like, oh, it's Swathi going to go do her thing. Like, I've always kind of done the out of the box thing. I've always done something that, maybe the average person be like, I'm not sure I fully understand that. But I always say when I speak to students or pharmacists or anyone that should never deter you from doing what you want to do. And honestly, for trying something new. And also knowing that, of course, coming from the pharmacist perspective, like when we try, we want this sense of certainty and like this knowing of, oh, okay, this is going to work out. And I think we need to trust ourselves a little bit more in our intuition and realize that, maybe this might not work out, but that's okay. And I know that I tried it. And that was pretty much my whole journey, was just trying different things. So when I was in pharmacy school, when I graduated, I was the only person in my entire class who had never had a job in a pharmacy. By the time I graduated, I was never a pharmacy intern there. However, I did have other internships. I interned for a medical device company. I participated in research. So that was like my first foray into clinical studies, and learned about how, a pharmacist could be a PI in a study. Like, that was really exciting to me. I really loved the startup space, and I loved seeing how I could use my transferable skills. And that is something that I wish that pharmacy schools talked more about. Is we have so many skills as pharmacists, and it is, I personally feel that the opportunities are endless for pharmacists to figure out how they want to use their skills. And I feel like so many other healthcare professionals have come to this and realized, you see nurses and physicians and PAs and everyone in the healthcare sphere doing so many amazing things. And I am starting to see more pharmacists in this, and it's unbelievably exciting to me to see that, because it really is one of those things that I wish that we talked about more, and that there were more platforms like this where people could learn about the other exciting things that pharmacists are doing.
Well, and I think it's great to look and see what other people are doing, because I think it serves as a source of inspiration. The other thing, though, that I think that we turned off when we got into pharmacy school is we turned off our permission to dream. We turned off our permission to just think what's possible. Like, we deal in absolutes. I need to calculate this dose so that this patient gets the right amount of medication and they live. So it becomes about absolutes. It's black and white. However, I think that when we step outside of what we do typically as pharmacists, it's not black and white. It can be all kinds of shades of gray, no pun intended, or no pun intended. However, I think that sometimes is daunting to us, because it's not a formula, it's not an algorithm. And I have so many people that reach out to me and say, but I don't know what I can do. And I'm like, well, number one, you can ask people. I mean, you can call up, I believe pharmacists are pretty nice people. Yes. And so you could call up any one of them or reach out to anyone. And if they don't respond or I would be really shocked. However, I tell people, what's in your heart that no one else knows, may not understand, may not even agree with or be supportive of. But I think there's something magical when you sit down and go, well, what do I like? And what do I want? Because I feel like you only get this one shot. This is one of, sometimes when I talk to students, my title of my talk is, this is not a dress rehearsal. This is it. So, and the thing is that if you do something and it doesn't work out, or you even change your mind and go, I don't think I like that so much, you can always change. I love that.
Exactly.
So I think
and you learn so much along the way as well.
You learn from your failures, you learn from your attempts, and you end up having when I left corporate America, the pharma industry, that was all I knew. 17 years of my career was spent in pharma. That was all I had knowledge of. And so then when I was like, okay, I'm going to do a different thing. There was no blueprint, there was no template. Because I remember going to Metapreneurs and I was like, so you mean there are other pharmacists who actually are building businesses too? Huh, I had no clue. You feel like you're an island. But I really think that your true guide is what's in your heart and what you have a desire or a yearning, whether you see a problem or a gap and you go, I'm going to create the solution to that, or whether you are creating something that totally doesn't exist and no one's ever thought of it before. And here you go and you just like, and so I think that is what resonated when I met you, that you were like walking to a different drum. And I admire and applaud that, because I think that we need some that are walking to the mainstream drum. We need that. However, I think that if you were walking to someone else's beat, it would be out of step and out of sync for you. And you would constantly find yourself like agitated and kind of like, feeling like an itch that I've got to do something. So I think that's why we connected and resonated right away.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that there's so much more and possibility that we just need to tap into and trust ourselves along that path, and know that maybe the first thing I try isn't the right thing, or maybe it's something I learned from, but it's not something I saw myself doing full time. And then I grew from that and then realized what I liked, what I didn't like. It's like going through, any part of life, whether it's, trying a new food or trying a new job or a relationship. You learn so much, and then you grow and you move on to the next thing.
So one of the things that I think happens also to us as we're growing up and we become whatever we were meant to be as these pharmacists we've undertaken, as these professions we've undertaken, is I think that you have a moment where you see yourself for like you've never seen yourself before. Yes. And so when I look back at your article, do you see that picture of you? Like, do you see your confidence?
Yeah.
Close-up shot, and like you're smiling, but it's like that confident, like I am the CEO of this. This is what. How did that feel? Because that's part of the reason why I send the people who are featured in the magazine. You have to have the print copy, because it's one thing to see yourself online, because pharmacists are great worker bees. We put our heads down and we just like go. Yeah. But to pause and to see it in your hands and to see yourself and go, wow, that's me. What does that feel like to see yourself as you are?
I think that it really helps bring out that inner confidence that we all, they say fake it till you make it. And I don't love that, because I don't like the idea of faking something, because to me, fake means that it's not being genuine. So I don't like the idea of faking it till you make it, but there is this idea of like almost like manifesting it till you make it, or, like making yourself believe that you are worthy and that, you do have that confidence. And I think part of the process of even being a part of PharmaSis for me was really tapping into that and being comfortable with it. And I think that when you put yourself out there, whether it is in a magazine or when you put yourself out there to try something new, it's all about tapping into why you think this is something that you should pursue, and why at the end of the day you think you're the right person for that role.
Right. And so I love having the ladies receive this in their hands.
Yeah.
Because most people will never see themselves on the pages of a magazine. Most people don't see themselves, even though they might say, oh yeah, well, I'm the executive, whatever, I'm the CEO. They don't see themselves as that. They just kind of know I do the work. I'm doing the work.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important to have this picture of yourself so that you walk into and continue walking into, I'm the CEO. I am the leader. I am,
Absolutely.
because if you're like any other human, let's just not even say pharmacist, sometimes it's really easy to focus on, I haven't made this yet. I haven't done that yet. I'm still not quite there. I tried that and it didn't work out. And so we can see like all of that and it meets us in the mirror in the mornings. But to be able to say, you know what, I did have these down moments. And I think I do more of this when we get towards this part of the year because I'm reflecting back.
Yeah.
How did the year go? Okay, well, there were some moments that were really tough. There were some moments when I just was like, I wanted to just dial it all in and be like, never mind. But then, you know what? I'm reminded that there were these moments and these pinnacles and these peaks and these wins. And it truly all balances out, in my opinion.
Yep.
And I've learned to be grateful for the tough moments, the moments of failure, because I really don't look at them as failure.
Yeah, I don't either.
I feel like I learned the most in those moments to
Yes.
help me for the next moment.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. And to give yourself that moment of reflection and even the moment of celebration, I think is so key. And so, whether that moment is opening and seeing yourself in the magazine or just sitting and reflecting and getting still, and that's
Mhm.
something that I've really tried to make a part of my daily routine is this element of stillness. I know a lot of people talk about meditation and this, that, and the other, and like some people that really works for. And I think for me, my version really is this like mindful moment or mindful moments that I can have throughout the day when I just take a break. And also, I like to schedule that time in. So a lot of people ask me how you keep such a, like, how do you stay organized? Like, I like to schedule all of those things in. Like, I schedule my workouts, my sleep, like everything is like scheduled. And so I think that if you're able to realize the impact and the influence that those moments can have, it really can help shape some of those next big decisions that are coming your way.
So let's talk about this. One of the things that, and I still say this even though you're newer in your career, one of the things that I absolutely feel that we have a responsibility to is, number one, to people in general in the profession,
Yeah.
to give support, to encourage, and to teach or give an example. The other thing that I think we have a responsibility for in our profession is women in pharmacy, because we definitely make up a large percentage of the pharmacist population. And then, even further than that, I feel that we have a responsibility to women in pharmacy of color.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because even though pharmacy is really a small world,
Mm-hmm.
there are still, in my opinion, pockets of pharmacy that don't necessarily represent us, that don't look to potentially diversify as much as they could
Right.
be. And so it was Janvi Curanathi. I don't know if you've seen her before. I interviewed her and she brought it to my attention. Actually, she is the guest editor for this issue.
Oh, wow.
Janvi said to me when we talked, she said, "Do you realize what you've done? You've put your face on the cover of a magazine." And so it definitely, it's a women in pharmacy magazine, pharmacists, tech, students, residents, fellows. It's a magazine for all women. She said, but because you've been willing to put your face on the cover of a magazine, she said that as a woman of color, she felt that she could show her face too. I was like, you want to be the guest editor? And so that's how that conversation started, because I don't think that because what did I say about pharmacists? We put our head down and we just work.
Right.
When she said that, that was one of those moments where I was like,
Wow.
oh, yeah, I hadn't thought of that. So that someone is watching who may not necessarily see someone who looks like them,
Mm-hmm.
but to look up and see someone who looks like you, because I think we all will agree it's human nature. You're
Yeah.
going to first identify with who looks like you, usually right away.
Right.
So, like, when she said that to me, it was so profound, because I hadn't even thought. I just was doing the thing. I was just doing the thing. But
Yeah.
I feel now that I've had a chance to think of, we have that responsibility as well.
Yes, absolutely. And to me, that means, having a more diverse look in what integrative health pharmacy is. And we really need more faces of all kinds in all aspects of pharmacy. But this is something that's really important to me, and actually why I started a Doctor of Pharmacy internship program at my company. So I co-founded a CBD wellness company, and it is really important to me as someone who has been able to forge my own path and really find my place and be so excited every single day with what I do, that, and of course it's been a journey that, is in the magazine and that we've talked about, but the fact that I can sit here now and be so proud of my journey, that I wish that there was someone that was doing what I was doing when I was a student. So any opportunity, I just spoke at Neomed Pharmacy School on their unconventional pharmacy panel, and things like that, or even starting this internship program to teach students what it could mean to be a pharmacist, especially a woman pharmacist of color, in the natural product space, creating a company, going out for our seed raise, and learning about how to speak to a consumer from the pharmacist lens. So looking at how we can evaluate literature from whether it's primary literature, secondary, or the other, and how we can break down those complicated concepts for consumers. And this could be in a blog post, but it also could be in like a one-on-one consultation if you end up becoming a community pharmacist and that's what calls to you. So at the end of the day, I feel like to be able to convey these concepts to a consumer or a patient or anyone is just so invaluable. But to know that that's something that I can provide a student even before they graduate is something that I would have jumped on that opportunity if I saw it. So being able to be one of those people that can create an opportunity for a student, and particularly looking for women of color in the pharmacy world, is really important.
I hope that pharmacy students are like flooding your inbox saying, can you come speak at my school? Because as I talk to students and as I speak for different organizations, for student organizations and different schools, they usually say things like, oh my God, we needed to see somebody like you who's doing something different.
Yes.
Because I think that a lot of times students still think that their options are retail and hospital. Yes. And maybe industry seems to be a little bit more on the radar now than it was when I became a pharmacist. However, I think the more that students see is possible, which goes back to what's in your heart, creating, dreaming. Those are not words that pharmacists usually toss around, being creative I used to actually say, I'm not creative. Oh my gosh, I don't say that anymore because I am creative. I do come up with ideas. Wait till you hear my next pharmacist idea. Never mind. I am creative because I love being in the space where you even have the space to create.
Yes.
Oftentimes when you're in a tense environment, you're not thinking about, well, what if? You're thinking, oh, just get it done, get it done. But to be in a space where you can dream, you can create, you look at life and you look at problems with a different perspective or a different lens. So yes, you have, I tell people often that yes, I do see things from a pharmacist lens, to use your words, but I also see things from a business owner's lens.
Yes. Hmm.
And it's it's a great lens to have in addition to the pharmacist lens that we have. And I think more people just don't realize that it's in there
Yeah.
and it is possible. It's just that I think that part is not encouraged as much. When I went to pharmacy school,
Hmm.
it was look to the left, look to the right, everybody's not going to make it, we hope it's not you. And so then you're scared and you're on this path of oh my gosh, I don't want to be the one that doesn't make it. And so therein lies the environment. Not much is going to be created out of that.
Exactly. And I would argue that everyone can be creative.
Yes,
So I don't want someone to watch this and be like, oh, those people are creative. That's nice.
yes,
I think everyone can be creative in their own way. And, in ways that I think the word creative even has taken on this new life. Um,
yes.
because I think that to a certain extent, some people think of creative only as, like painting or
Right.
drawing or
Art.
something, like tangibly like that. Whereas to me, creative is being an incredible problem solver. If you're, the PIC in a pharmacy, you have to figure out how to evaluate and attack 60 problems all at once while managing a team. Like that's
Right.
really difficult.
Creative.
Um, so there are so many different ways to be creative. And I don't want us to put, creativity in a box of only meaning, fashion design or art.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
But it's interesting because sometimes when I'm talking to pharmacists and I'm like, so what are you good at? What do you really enjoy? What do you like? They're actually it frees them up to say that they like art, photography,
Yeah.
fashion, writing, things that would not necessarily be what would be expected of someone who's a scientist. But I believe that we can use both sides of our brain. And even if it comes down to something that is artistic, that's not a bad thing either.
Exactly.
So if it comes down to solving a problem with patient care in an unconventional way that hasn't been tried before, or a new spin on something that has, like, all of it's good. And that there's, yes, definitely many ways to be creative. And I remember having a coaching client who said, because I think sometimes some of us chose our careers based upon strong family influence.
Absolutely.
I've talked to many of pharmacists who have said, this is what my father said I should do, or this is what my mother insisted that I should do. And they've said things like, well, I wanted to be this, but my parents were insistent that I follow a medical profession. And so I
Mhm.
either needed to be a doctor or a pharmacist. And so I think that it's liberating for them to be like, you mean I can create something else? I can, yes. So
Mhm.
I love that. Dr. Swathi, tell us what is coming up for you. What are you getting into? What are you getting into now? What's coming up? What should we be on the lookout for with you?
Oh my gosh, so many things. So, one of the things is I mentioned Dr. Pam Tarlow, one of my mentors, integrative health pharmacist as well. The two of us really saw this void of there not being that many opportunities for pharmacists and pharmacy students to learn about integrative health, particularly integrative health pharmacy. And so we saw it as, when people would reach out to us, which they still do all the time, to ask, oh my gosh, how did you get to where you are? And what resources did you use? That's
Mhm.
always the next follow-up question. So we found that, I created this infographic of all these different resources, most of which are free. Would love to send that to anyone who reaches out to me. It's a phenomenal, way to learn more about integrative health on your own time in a self-teaching kind of method. And then the other side of that is the more established, degree programs that are many years and thousands of dollars and lots of time. And so
Right.
we found that, people didn't want to necessarily teach themselves on their own. They wanted someone to teach them. But they didn't really have the time to devote 2 full years to, doing something on the time while having a family and a full-time career. So we created an online course that is self-paced, multi-module, that is called Integrative Health 101. And it's both me and Dr. Tarlow lecturing on different modalities within integrative health, and also just to define integrative health to us really is this intersection of all the different modalities. So we see the value in prescription medications, as well as homeopathy and therapeutic aromatherapy and superfoods, nutrition, Ayurveda, everything in between. And so we cover a lot of those different topics, and it's really fun because both of us are in the integrative health space but have different specialties within it. So we're able to speak to things that we absolutely love. And so we did a live webinar series last summer. And we recorded all the sessions, and they are now available on Teachable. I can provide you the link for any pharmacist or pharmacy student who's interested. So we just launched that, and we're so proud of it. And it was such a long time coming, and so many conversations and ideation sessions and everything before we decided like this was the right next path for us to continue to work together and to bring something new to the pharmacy world.
Well, and I think that you and Dr. Tarlow have definitely created something to fill a gap in that don't want to do self-paced, meaning on my own, just figuring it out, because many people don't know where to start, but then also don't want to enroll in said university or said, program to make a commitment, because not everybody's in that place to do that in their personal life. And so to be able to do something that's self-paced, and they're still learning from someone else, and they're getting the knowledge that they want to acquire to do their next thing, I think is awesome. So kudos to you and Dr. Tarlow. You'll have to make sure that I get the information and I can share that in my Women in Pharmacy What's Next groups, both on Facebook and on LinkedIn. Those are two groups that, I've seen all types of women in pharmacy in all different walks of pharmacy, or maybe not even in pharmacy at the time, but there are quite a mixed group of women in there that I think would be interested. So please remind me to or get me whatever I need or can share, or if you want to do the post yourself and then just send it to me and I can make sure that it gets there. With that, let me ask you, because I know that when people see this, whether it was live or replay, they're going to be lining up to talk to you. So we want them to get in one line. We don't want like all these lines all over the places. So tell me, what's the one best way for people to connect with you, follow up with you, ask questions? What's the best way?
Yeah, the best way is through LinkedIn. Please find me. My name is in the blue box on the screen. Just search that and send me a message. I'd love to connect with you.
All right, so you heard it. Her line is forming in LinkedIn. So Dr. Swathi, it is always my pleasure to connect with you. I'm so proud of, I know I sound like a mama bear. I'm so proud of all that you've done, because I remember meeting you as a resident and now seeing you, obviously past your residency phase and in entrepreneur phase. Not everybody moves like that. So congratulations to you on the successes that you've had in a very short time, and being willing to honor the I think I want to do something different voice that you heard within yourself. That's amazing, because some people ignore that. So grateful to sit down and chat with you, and awesome to see what you're doing. And I can't wait until we do a Where Are They Now feature in the magazine after we've had some time to elapse, and go, let's check in with Dr. Swathi. What's she doing now? So excited to see what you're doing and excited about what's to come. So thank you. And for those who are interested in finding out more about PharmaSis Magazine, you can check us out on our Facebook PharmaSis Magazine. We have an Instagram account, which is PharmaSis Mag, and there is a LinkedIn PharmaSis page as well. So whatever platform you use the most, you'll find us there. And I can't wait to engage with you as well. Thank you, and I look forward to next time we catch up. Bye.